1, 2. Hello, one and all, and welcome to another episode of The Kickout, the final word in professional wrestling. We are back after a week hiatus while we did our Royal Rumble panel show last week, so thank you all for tuning into that. And thank you all for tuning into Sunday's Royal Rumble reaction show with Joe the Show Winkle. That was a lot of fun. Nick, I have to introduce you, being my tag team partner. Don't want to forget to bring you in. With me, as always, is never wrong Nick Bull, one half of the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, we're midweek here. It's the Kickout, our little freeform show where we can talk just about anything we want. We broke down the Rumble with our friend Joe the Show Winkle this past week, and we're like, oh, what should we talk about? And I think there's plenty of things to talk about coming out of the Rumble, not just the Rumble itself, but CZ, what do you want to talk about?
So we, at the beginning of the year, gave a little love to an AEW star who has really turned the page since he went to AEW. I want to do the same thing to a WWE star. I want to talk about Jacob Fatu today. I think he is due for a monster push, and I'm excited. I think his showing in the Rumble could have been a little stronger with the way he was eliminated. I wasn't happy about that, but we touched on that on Sunday. So go back and watch the Card Subject to Change podcast in our archives. But no, man, you got to think that after Solo lost the Ulafala, Jacob Fatu and the Tongas would have been kind of ships without a rudder. But Jacob has really come on strong, I think. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to say this, and it's no discredit to this other wrestler, but I think Jacob Fatu is probably what the WWE wanted out of Solo Sikoa, right?
Oh,
like they wanted this monster that could do all these different things, and it's not a discredit to Solo. I just think Jacob Fatu is that special. He's got it all. He's got the look. He's got the in-ring. He's physical. He's fierce. You can't take your eyes off him when he's in the ring, and you're waiting to see who or what he's going to destroy next, just because it's in his path. Very unique situation here. I know we saw him get eliminated by Braun Strowman at the Rumble, and I wasn't a big fan of that either. But I guess there is a story there if you look back to the most recent Saturday Night's Main Event, where they kind of had a bloody beatdown of each other with Jacob Fatu getting the advantage, leaving Braun bloodied in the ring after, I believe, 4 or 5 moonsaults.
Nick, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
You bring up Braun Strowman, and I'm going to say something that I want to just preface. This is no disrespect to Braun Strowman.
This means it's probably going to be then.
No. I mean no disrespect here. I'm not throwing any shade. But Braun Strowman, to me, and maybe you feel the same way, maybe you feel different. He feels like if you got Brock Lesnar off of Temu, as far as building people up. For a long time, Brock Lesnar was the guy. If you wanted to show someone was a legit badass, you put him against Lesnar and had Lesnar take the pinfall. Braun Strowman seems to kind of have filled that role a little bit in Lesnar's absence, not to the extent as Brock, but do you feel that as well? Are you feeling that a little bit?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, he's never going to be able to fill those shoes because I don't think enough people care. He's not a polarizing enough character. I got nothing against Braun Strowman, but I was a little let down when he was the one that eliminated Jacob Fatu. And then I'm like, you know what? They had the Saturday Night's Main Event thing. Maybe they're going to have one more match, and Jacob Fatu's got bigger things at Mania. I sure hope so. I think that they probably do have bigger plans for him than just Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman just seems to be the flavor of the day, the first person to put him with. I hope that is what happens here. I'm guessing we'll probably see Jacob Fatu come out of this feud on top. Braun may get a win back here some way, some form. But, I mean, Fatu is the rocket, I think, that WWE is kind of pushing all their chips on, for, okay, we got to get some rocket fuel to propel this rocket because this guy is going to be something big. And we got to find the right recipe, the right mix of things to get that reaction. And I don't think it is with Braun Strowman per se, but I think we're going to get something bigger down the road with someone else.
Right. And I'm not discrediting Braun Strowman, but I don't want to. He's not at the same level as like the Brock Lesnar, like you said. They're two different people. He's not as captivating, and like again, you hit the nail on the head. Not as many people care about him, but he seems to be WWE's current gatekeeper as far as if you want to get someone over and you want to see a big man taken out, he's the guy to take out.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is. He definitely is. Now, I don't know who Fatu's going to face next. I don't know if he goes after, bloodline people storyline wise, or if he's going to be breakout and do his own thing here. That's the interesting, fun thing here as we get out of Royal Rumble, is what trajectory paths are going to be changed for some of these superstars for their upcoming programs. Not only at Elimination Chamber, but at Mania. So that's why the Royal Rumble was kind of such a big deal. That's why we had a lot of fun talking about it this past week. We had a blast watching it this past week too. But,
yes.
It's such a big deal to kick off officially the road of WrestleMania, as we're 70 some odd days now away from WrestleMania, which is a couple weeks later this year. We need to remind our listeners and viewers here that WrestleMania is not as early as it was or has been in the past. They pushed it back a few weeks. So plenty of time to get stuff in place, plenty of time for guys like CZ and myself to critique things, break it down, and figure out where the chips are going to fall here on the road to WrestleMania.
Without a doubt. Now, we have the next upcoming event is the Elimination Chamber. We know that John Cena has already declared himself to go into the Elimination Chamber. He is desperately seeking that 17th championship to break the record. Let me ask you this. If you were put on your booker hat, if you were booking, do you put Jacob Fatu in that match?
In which match is that again?
In the Elimination Chamber. Do you put him with Cena and some of the other big dogs to give him a little bit of a rub?
Yes and no. Got to book him very carefully.
Yes.
If he doesn't win the match, how you having him lose and who's beating him? That's a big question mark. If you're not going to win, who are you losing to and how, which may set up your next feud. Man, we saw John Cena after the Rumble cut that profound promo in that presser, and got to believe, I mean, he's in the Elimination Chamber. Fatu would be interesting. Maybe I hope Fatu gets in there just to see what they're going to do with him. I hope they do put him in there. I hope he's in there, and I hope he wrecks shop. I really do. So yes,
and that's why
I'm booking hat on. I've got him in the match. But yeah, I got him in the match.
And you make a very good point about how they need to be really careful how they book him, because with as much momentum as he's been building and as much as people seem to be gravitating towards his animalistic behavior, pun intended, being the Samoan werewolf that he is.
For sure.
He's kind of also at a tipping point now where the wrong move could shatter everything they're building for him.
Yeah, it's caution, handle very carefully here. This guy's going to explode. I think in the way that Braun Breaker has kind of exploded since he's been up on the main roster. I mean, and maybe a potential matchup with those two down the road. Who knows? But I know
that had that stare down in the Rumble match. So I know.
I hope so. I hope we get more of that. I think that would be great. But I think when you're booking him, book him very carefully. And of course, with the Elimination Chamber, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. So I guess if a pin does happen, it's not the end of his rise. It's not the end of his push. However, it does need to be guarded very much so to, of course, continue people's interest in wanting to see him. If you haven't come out and lose every week, nobody's going to want to see that, but they're going to want to see this guy come out and dominate and throw around whoever he does. So they got to be very careful with that. I want you to put your booking hat now, and I want you to tell the listeners what is coming up on the next edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast.
Absolutely. We are welcoming into the studio another star from our good friends up at Absolute Pro Wrestling, as well as other promotions here in the Midwest. He is the Lone Diamond, Mr. Jackson King. He'll be joining us, and we'll learn his story about his journey in this wonderful world we call wrestling.
And I'm sure we'll definitely get his take on the Royal Rumble and what he thought of it as well. A lot of people talking about Royal Rumble. It's the kickoff to WrestleMania season. We got a guest next week on the Card Subject to Change show. Things are flipping into high gear here on the road to WrestleMania. We're so glad you've joined us. This is the Kickout. We're powered by Lopez Pizza. We're built by Durham Remodeling. We're colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. And until next time, he's the Wizard CZ. Right there. I'm Never Wrong, Nick Bull. And this has been the Kickout, the final word in pro wrestling.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.